like to welcome you once again to another episode of Beyond the Walls, Gardens of Lakeside Chapala. Today we have with us Linda Williams and Beth Luke, who's in back of me over here working hard. We're going to be speaking today about flower arrangements and flower arranging. And these two ladies have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, which they've been very gracious to share with us today. So I'd like to welcome you. Thank you once again. Yeah. Linda, tell us what you're doing here. How did you, well, first tell us how you got started with flower arranging.
Oh, that is so far back. I have just innately always loved flowers. I had gardens at age 8, and picked up flower arranging on the side. It's just an innate love of mine. Like a lot of flowers, it's not unique just to me, but because of my love, I started doing flower arranging. I became a flower show judge, and then I had a business that did weddings, and we didn't do funerals. We decided those just were too depressing.
Yeah.
So I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of arrangements, and love it even to this day. I was happy to be invited to do this.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have a favorite flower?
I love roses. I love orchids. If we need smell-o-vision for these lilies, because they smell
very fragrant. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Beautiful. So I think these are called stargazer lilies. Is that what they call them here?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. I want to show that I'm doing a round arrangement for a round table. And I started out with this blue bowl, and then I used Oasis, and just to show you, I get it all wet, 2 or 3 hours of soaking, and then I cut, show you how easily it cuts, this to the shape of my bowl, and I have it placed in here. Then I started putting some greenery in last night, and to kind of carry out the round shape, it is going to be equal in all directions.
Francisco, may I ask a question? Do you always start with the greenery?
It's a good place to start. It sort of shows you the structure. It's not, you don't have to, but I probably do
that
most of the time, yes. Or a tall flower that gives shape. So I want to show you how to wire a rose. I saved one.
Now you wire to give it structure, to give it
Sometimes structure and sometimes support. Make sure the head, we've all seen roses that go like this.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want your arrangement you're sending out that to happen to it. So I stuck the wire right in the base, and then I'm going to wrap it. My scissors happen to, they can handle both the wire and the, take off some of these outside damaged shipping petals.
And then that goes into the oasis.
Into the oasis that is wet. The rest of the roses I've already wired, so we don't have to do that. I'm very messy when I do this too. Just the thought of flower arranging makes my house messy.
And I think this is asparagus fern, yeah?
Springer, yes, they do call it that, but springeri is another word for it.
That's beautiful. And then you also have eucalyptus leaves here.
Yes, little eucalyptus. Let's see, one little bigger one.
And is there any rule or guide to color? Because you can use so many colors together.
I would say common sense.
Yeah, okay. Because I love this. I love this arrangement and these colors. But then you see like the other arrangement, which we'll show in a minute, which has many more colors in it, and they all seem to work beautifully.
And part of what Beth has done with that is she's used that runner with all those different colors
Mhm.
and
To complement
Right.
the flowers. Yeah. And these are agapactus.
Uh-huh.
That's such a pretty combination.
from my yard. One of the things I've always, because I love flowering and flowers, I always like to plant things that I'm going to use. And
So you have a garden for cut flowers.
yes,
You might mention what those are too.
these are, I always have a hard time.
Theory.
Anthurium.
Anthurium, yes. And they are wonderful to design with.
Really?
They don't dry up.
Mm.
They stay moist. They stay just like they're supposed to. I mean, you could take them, run over them in the driveway, bring them in, put them in.
My
they-
kind of flower.
Yes.
How long would an arrangement like this last normally? Or usually?
3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And also, do you put stuff in the water? You just put it right in the oasis and no water in there?
Well, the Oasis has water in
Yeah.
it, but I don't put,
No other water? No sugar,
no. And some people do that, and it's
Yeah.
probably the right thing to do. I just know for this, it only had to last until
Today.
1:30. Okay, I think that's it.
Well, that's beautiful.
Linda, that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. All right, well, let's move over to Beth's station and see what she's been working on. Hi, Beth.
Hiya. So I'll tell you about my flowering.
Yes, please.
My very first store over 50 years ago was a flower shop in Kennebunkport, Maine. And I grew all my own flowers. And I hated throwing them in the trash when they didn't sell, which was most of the time. So I gave up I turned my store into a psychedelic hippie store instead. And I'm not brave like Linda to continue doing flowers. So though I love flowers, and I'm not a great arranger, I'm not professional like Linda's a professional. I just love doing it, and that's what I always have loved flowers, and even when I didn't have a store, I always had flowers in my home. And I'm so happy to be here where I can afford them.
Have you been to Guadalajara? I understand
Yes.
there's a flower market.
Oh, yes, there is, and anyone can go there. It's in the U.S., you only can go to the ones unless you have a business. But in Guadalajara, anybody can go there.
Oh,
You
okay.
can go there, I can go
Great.
there. Anyone can buy it on the street. You may pay a little bit more than the retailers, but not much more. Anyway, so I'm having a little party in a couple of days, so I'm doing this for my table. And what I do, I start by putting greens in, and then generally I start with something, the big piece in the middle. This is, and I like buds because, you know, life goes on, and so I like the symbol of a bud that we're all going to keep going.
Yeah.
And because my guests don't like to have to, when you go to the restaurant and they have a flower right in front of you and you end up moving it.
Yes.
So we don't like crowded tables, so we have to keep it. I usually keep it not higher than about 12 inches.
About a foot or so.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any trouble seeing over it.
No.
But the women tend to. So I'm just going to put these in as a central theme because we had these lovely pink lilies already in Linda's, and I'm just throwing them in here haphazardly. So I think of a garden when I'm putting these things together. I think of how things grow in a garden. Usually in a little bit of a clump here and a clump there. And so I try to kind of clump things a bit. Just so you get that garden feeling. And you know, you can do lots of flowers, you can do a few flowers, but I just think, Linda and I were talking that I'd rather have flowers than food at my dinner party.
And do you use succulents a lot in your arrangements?
Oh yes, the succulent, look at this, did you see this?
Isn't that beautiful?
This is Linda helped me with this. She brought these and then she wired it with this stick. And that should last a real long time.
Oh, yeah.
Can it probably
And then
reuse?
You can plant it, yes, afterwards you can
I
plant it.
don't know if you can scan over to
Yeah,
this
let's move
one.
over here to one that's already
This-
been done.
This is one I made a little earlier because I'm going to my friend's house for dinner tonight, and she has a very Mexican house. And this is her, she has these as table settings. So I made one, and these are all flowers from my garden except for the carnations. Just to,
Beautiful.
so that
So
That one won't
in
last
this
very long.
arrangement, you played off of the colors of the
Yeah.
maps, yes,
Yeah.
placements.
Yeah.
Linda, what are you doing here now?
I'm going to do a very tall mass arrangement.
Tall.
I'm going to take this out and show you what I've done first.
it's that tree.
I have made grids with tape. It's floral tape.
Okay. So you've created kind of a cross structure here
Yes.
on top that is perforated. So I don't know if we can really see the tape, but there's tape here, there's tape here. It's
And
thin
you could,
strips.
if you were going to use a lot more smaller flowers, you could make the grid a lot smaller. But I think this will work for what I'm doing. Then I made 3 spring rye and I wired it so that I could bend it and it would take the shape
Ah, okay.
that I wanted.
In this case, you don't want it to be straight up and down. You
That's
want
right.
it to have a curvature to it.
That's right.
I see.
Now I've got to find the ones I wired. So this is going to be my... Okay, got that. Then I'm going to fill it out with a little some more spring rye. The one thing you want to remember when you're making your flower arrangements, that you don't put your greenery or your thorns or whatever it is down in your
Into
water,
the water.
because it will just really, the water will become very stale and bad.
And
Scummy.
stinky.
Stinky, yes. All those things. So
Yes. So you want to keep it as fresh as possible.
then we have back to lilies. Oh, you can cut that part. And I cut them. I measure by holding this at a stem about that long, and then I kind of measure here. Where is that going to be? And then I cut off that part of it, and I put them down these webs that I've made. It's kind of,
That works really well.
yes,
The tape.
it
You
is.
have to remember that. Yeah.
Pretty simple.
These are delphinium I'm putting
They're
in.
beautiful, yeah. And Beth has used white ones over here.
Yeah.
in the arrangement.
That's just about it, that's enough.
Yep.
Every other day, I take them out, cut the stems down, put in
Yes.
fresh water, and put them back.
They continue. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Well, thank
And
you.
thank you everybody for joining us in this next episode of Beyond the Walls, Gardens of Lakeside Chapala. I'm your host Francisco Nava, and we'll see you next time, right here